Landlords are going through a repair pandemic, not epidemic. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it right now.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning. It's an epidemic or a pandemic.
What's the difference?
The explosion.
The explosion. An epidemic is when it's centralized to our area, our country. A pandemic is when it goes global.
How did you know that?
I don't know. I'm just getting all of the knowledge from Wayne Hughes beside me here.
Now, I've got some great people on screen today. ZANTHANY, one of the smartest humans in real estate. Wayne Hughes works with about 20 different agencies. So he's going to tell you what the agencies are experiencing with their property managers, with their landlords. So that's big numbers. An observation of what we've been seeing in the last quarter, massively, is a landlord will send off a rent increase and a tenant will reply with
a list of repairs that they previously didn't really give a crap about, but now that the rents are going up, you know what, you're putting my rent up, here's a list of things that I'd like repaired within your property. Not just one thing, it's typically a list of things, and I get that. I'm a renter. If a landlord wanted to put my rent up by X amount, I'd probably say, well, that's cool. Here's a little list of things that are wrong with the property that you could potentially address.
And could be a couple grand's worth of stuff. So with this happening, it's been trending in media, rents going up, rents going up. It's turned agents and particularly landlords to say, okay, let's get these rents up. 50, 100, 200 rental increases go out and all these repairs pour back.
Yes. It's absolutely happening, and I can understand why, but at the same time, I don't know what it's like from a landlord's point of view too, so I can't really empathize in that regard. But I can imagine that it would be a massive shock to the system whereby you have had this ongoing cash income from your investment property, and you've had happy tenants for quite some time, only to then be slapped in the face with this huge big list of repairs, seeking a quote, which could be a couple of $100, it could be $100,000.
And there's just so many facets of this too, because what's not covered in the media very much is the rental increases, and there's definitely a rental crisis. But the landlords haven't got such a powerful, representational lobby group, and so it's not all going the way of the landlords. Massive increases in insurance, obviously increases in the number of landlords that have got mortgages, and those mortgage rates are going up dramatically. So the landlords are not flush with cash to do these repairs in many cases. It's not like they're just getting huge amounts of extra money.
Yeah, that's true actually. You hear a lot about the rental crisis, but you don't actually ever really hear about what it's like from the landlord's point of view. It's always about, oh, there's a crisis, oh, the tenants are forced to pay so much more money. It's all because of the landlords putting the rent up. It's because of the real estate. You don't actually ever really break down the costs from a landlord's point of view to say, well, this is why. This is why the rents are going up. This is why it's happening.
And it's quite understandable that a tenant gets a property and they want to have the best lifestyle they can get for the amount that they're paying. And it's natural human nature to think, I pay more, I need to get a better service. It's just like buying a more expensive motor vehicle or clothes or anything like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that you come back to too, though, is you took on a property in a state at the outset of the lease. There was an ingoing inspection carried out, and that was almost like part of the agreement about this is the state of the property that you take it on. Now, the implications of fair wear and tear that come through that, but to increase the, change the type of the property, I want different assets in the property than when I took it on, is actually goes back to the lease. This is what you signed up for.
Wayne, I do have to admit, complacency with a landlord is very, very easy. Two things I want to highlight. One, the cost of holding that rental property or that asset has doubled within 18 months.
Yeah.
Two, I bought a property 30 years ago that had an original bathroom, probably a 30-year-old bathroom, kitchen. I was like, young, and I'm thinking, yep, I'm going to put a new kitchen, put a new bathroom in. The property's been rented ever since. Now, here's the catch. I did the bathroom, but I never did the kitchen. I turned around to our property manager, Branca, yesterday and said, what'd the quote come in at? She said 22 grand for the bathroom, 22 grand. I did the kitchen. And I was like, shit, that can wait. And then I was like, hang on a sec. 30 years ago, that bathroom that was rubbish is now 30 years later even more rubbish.
Yeah.
So I get it with landlords. You sort of just, get complacent. I then went full circle with Branca and I said, what does it cost to renovate these puppies? She said, well, I'm doing a 2-bedroom apartment with a landlord at the moment. The landlord got the quote for 97 grand.
And what did that include, though? What was in that quote?
Big unit, brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, floor coverings, paint, curtains, the lot. And they thought that was a lot. They got a second quote, came in at 106 grand. Plus the place is going to be vacant. That included the vacancy. Branca built the vacancy into that, which was about 14 grand. But here's my point, guys. At the moment, this has triggered tenants.
Yeah, and when you look at it, the interesting maths, which is never done, and again, two things. What people watching this would rarely see is that I see a lot of year-end rental statements for properties, and you'll find that the rents coming in might be $25,000 or $30,000 per year, $500 a week or so. That's going to give you about $25,000 a year. What goes into the landlord's pocket is startling. And this is before them paying mortgage payments, but after you've paid outgoings and strata fees, council rates, insurance, if the landlord pays for that, they might be getting somewhere between $9,000 and $15,000 out of that $25,000 in their bank account. This is to the landlord. And out of that, they've got to pay their mortgage. So it's not like it's giving them huge amounts to fund a retirement or anything at the stage. So as Mark said, the trick is you've got to buy these things and hold them for 25 years until they don't produce income while they're paying off the mortgage. And then as you retire, there's a bit more coming in to fund your retirement. Point one. Point two is that landlords are not silly. Landlords will look at a renovation of, say, $10,000 and say to the property manager, if I spend $10,000 on a bathroom, how much does my rent increase? And up until recently, the rental increases generated by that expenditure has only been like $10 a week. It takes a lot of weeks to pay back $10 a week to pay back $10,000. It takes 1,000 weeks. And 1,000 weeks is years and years and years. And by the time that's done, the bathroom needs doing again. Yeah. So a lot of landlords go, well, you know what? I won't take the $10 a week increase. I won't do and that's not counting interest on the 10 grand you have to borrow to do the bathroom. I won't do the bathroom. I won't take the $10 a week, and I'll just do the bathroom up before I sell the property, if I sell it. And then I'm selling it with a brand new bathroom, not one that's 5 or 8 years old or something. So it's quite a complex set of maths that goes behind these decisions as well.
It's huge, but the asset value will go up.
Which is only relevant if you're selling it.
True.
During the course of holding it, what you're doing is actually funding a better lifestyle for the tenant. In sometimes if it's not giving you an adequate payback. And don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating that you don't do the repairs. By all means, do the repairs. There's a lot to be said for happy tenants. A lot to be said. One of the biggest expenses in rental properties is vacancy. And if you avoid vacancy by keeping your tenants happy, you're well in front of the 8 ball most of the time.
Absolutely.
And look, I think the reality is, guys, that the repair's going to have to be done. Thank God it was triggered, because it's only going to amass to more repairs as the years roll on. So it's giving you the opportunity to amortize those repairs over a period of time, rather than it getting to the end of a 5-year anniversary or 10-year anniversary, and you got to do this, that. There's 50 things you got to do.
Yeah.
I'd rather do 5 or 10 things a year than nothing, and then have to do 50 to 100 repairs, in 5 or 10 years' time.
Here's another really interesting little one. I just came across this one this week. Never seen it in 25 years, but it's just popped up this week, and it's right on point for this. Had a landlord who was doing up a bathroom in a property, and he was putting a stone-topped vanity into the bathroom. It was a $4,400 vanity. So that was a different vanity than what the tenants had moved into when the property was there. Now, this was the landlord's option, that he was doing up the property at his instigation. But here's the thing.
Must have been a walk.
If the tenants had damaged that stone bench top during the remainder of their lease, and say they'd put a crack in the stone bench top on the vanity, then that wasn't in there when they did the ingoing inspection report. So then that could give rise to a different level of wear and tear and a different level of exposure to the tenants if they've taken on an asset which could cost a lot if somebody had dropped the hairdryer or something on it and damaged it. So this is a multifaceted kind of situation. I'm sure the tenants would go, wow, that's beautiful to have the new vanity in there with a lovely stone bench top. But you can see why it could give rise to a difficult situation if there'd been a damage to it.
Very
Absolutely.
much so.
And you know what else? It's the circle of life. Now you've got all the trades benefiting from rental increases going up. A lot of these trades are landlords or tenants. It's just that circle that just keeps on going. And now you need a window guy, a glass guy, a painter, or this or that. But I do like. It's hard to get them, and it's a bad time to get them. But I do like the fact that it is program maintenance. It's forcing your hand a little bit. You are getting a little bit more rent for it. It is happening in our industry. It's happening by force, quietly. ZANTHANY, before we came on air and we spoke about this topic, you mentioned something about the necessity of these repairs. Should we cover that?
Yeah. So I was actually going to circle back to that and just position it from a tenant's point of view. You've just requested a list of all of these repairs that you've given to the property manager and landlord. If they turn around and don't do any of those repairs, what kind of leg do you have to stand on?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that conversation with husband and wife at home when they get the rental increase letter.
Yeah.
They're going, they're looking at it and they're going, what? And he hasn't done this, and they haven't done the curtain, and they haven't done the paint, and the paint's ridiculous, and that's always been chipped, and this and that, and then I'm going to write to them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so they should. I think the bottom line is a repair is something broken.
Yeah, and if it's causing health issues or a risk, then it has to be done.
Well, if it's a repair, it's a repair. Do you know what I mean? If it's broken, she needs to be fixed.
And this is the fine line between repairs and fair wear and tear.
Yeah.
Had another one where the landlord had pointed out that the bottom of a door was delaminating, and he was putting it down to a fastidious tenant who was mopping frequently, and the bottom of the door was getting wet. And he said, okay, we need to fix the bottom of the door. And one of the conversations that came out of that was, well, if we do it now, she's going to keep mopping the floor. And we love the fact that she's keeping the property clean. But then when she moves out, she's going to have to do the door again. And so what was the outcome of that was we decided that the bottom of the door at this point, it wasn't that bad, was fair wear and tear. And the conversation would be had at the end of the tenancy, depending on how bad the door had got by that point, because otherwise it's just costing the tenant more money, and the landlord didn't want to do that. He certainly wasn't, or the property managers didn't want to do that. They were very reasonable about it, looking after the tenant in that instance. It's so many scenarios.
Before we go, my position on this is, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, if you've got the budget and the tenant's going to allow you to do improvements to the property, repairs or improvements, if you can, get it done. It's going to have to get done anyway, and it's not going to amass to a bigger job later. But here's the kicker. The tenant's still paying rent while you're doing the repair. That tenant moves out and you've got to do all these repairs. You're doing it with a vacant asset, $500,000 asset that's not generating an income. So it's quite welcoming that they're going to let you do it on their clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, great advice. Vacancies are a huge expense.
And you don't need to do all the repairs at once. You can stagger them out like we touched on before. Tackle them project by project. Doesn't have to be all at once.
And that's a show.
That's a wrap.
Perfect.
The landlord repair explosion. That's why it's happening.
Pandemic or epidemic, whichever you prefer.
Whatever you prefer.
Whatever.
Guys, have a great day. Sun is out. Winter is coming.
It sure is. And thanks for joining us, Wayne.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
See you
have
guys
a great
soon.
day.
You're the best, Wayne. Thanks, Zan. Cheers, guys. Bye.